couple of people to join. Okay, we're recording, we're good, we're live. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about how to never ever stress about money. I think money, it's reported that, let me look up the stats really quick, but it's reported that money is one of the biggest causes of stressors. We know that money is one of the biggest causes of divorces. It's so easy to let money get to you and the stress of money get to you. And it's so easy to let financial pressures get to you, whether it's paying the bills on time or bringing in a certain income. I know that I recently quit my job and I haven't felt much stress about money, but I can totally imagine how that's a huge stressor, not just on yourself, not just on the facts of can you pay the bills on time, or are you going to be able to save the amount you said, or are you going to be able to invest enough to retire? Not just the tactical parts, but there's also the financial pressures of yourself, your self-esteem. Oh my God, I used to be this big hot shot earning all this money and now I'm earning zero. I'm not earning zero, but if you lost your job in a different time, or oh my God, my fiance, my husband, my boyfriends, my girlfriend, whatever, depend on me for money, and you feel pressured to make them happy. And there's so many reasons why money can be such a stressor in our lives. It's proven to be a stressor. People there's stories like this all the time, but I specifically remember because I was paying off my debt at this point. There's one story of the couple who were both chiropractors, and they were 50, and they committed suicide because of they had too much debt and they could never pay off their chiropractic school debt. So they jumped off a building and they left two college age kids behind at home, but their debt was too much. That's the ultimate financial thing, pressure, whatever. That's the ultimate horrible thing, to let the debt pressure get to you. And I want to show you how to never ever stress about money and never ever ever get to that point. Please, please, please. Debt should not be the enter to your life. There are things we could totally do to fix it. But I want to show you, even in everyday life, how to not let the financial pressures get to you. I totally understand how it could, and I want to show you the methods I use to never stress about money. So when I was first, and not stress about money in a good way. If you're watching this, it's probably because you care about your finances. I know when I first started my job right out of college, I also never stressed about money, but that was because I didn't know that I was supposed to. I was I make $60,000, I'm rich. And so I didn't have stress about money. I spent a lot of money and I never stressed about it because I was ignorant. I didn't know that you were supposed to save and invest, and I didn't know what I was missing out on. So one reason that people don't stress out about money is because they don't know that they should. So I'm not saying push your problems aside. Don't think about it. That's not what you should do. I think one way to not stress about money is to become so educated, so understanding of your financial situation, so trusting of yourself and your own habits that you don't feel stress anymore. Not like me when I was ignorant. I thought $60,000 was basically millionaire status because it was my very first salary right out of college. Making $0 to $60,000 felt like I was very rich, so I was very not stressed. But now that I've grown and understand that is not rich at all, Anyway, so here's the tips. So first tip, number one, is we have to start here, but this is not my favorite tip, so please hang on, is have an emergency fund. So an emergency fund, I'm sure most of you know, is just a pool of money that's liquid, whether actual cash or just in your checking account, or even in a savings account that you can easily just withdraw. An emergency fund is just a pile of money in case of an emergency. So how much should you have in your emergency fund? Dave Ramsey famously says that you should have $1,000 in your emergency fund and then start paying off debt. I famously say that's stupid. I think it shouldn't just be an arbitrary $1,000. I don't think an arbitrary $1,000 makes any sense. I know I am a worrier. I am a natural saver, and if I only had $1,000 in my savings or whatever as an emergency fund, that would make me more stressed. That would give me anxiety because my rent at the time, back when I lived in an apartment, my rent was $1,400 a month. So if I only had $1,000 in an emergency fund and my rent's $1,400, I would be homeless in a hot second if I couldn't pay that off. So what I think is bare bones emergency fund should be 1 month expenses, at very minimum, bare 1 month expenses. So if $1,000 doesn't cut it for you, then save a couple hundred more. If your expenses are $5,000 and you're a single person living in the suburbs, lower your expenses. Like, meet yourself somewhere in the middle to make your emergency cover 1 month of expenses. Ideally, though, for me, I think an emergency fund should be 3 months is a good target. 3 to 6 months, though, if you're able to do that. So I get why Dave Ramsey says $1,000, because he wants the starting, he thinks you should have, $1,000 in your bank account and then start paying off debt right away. And paying off debt is the most important thing ever of your whole life. And like, he doesn't want like saving up like $6,000 to stop people, because for some people saving up a couple months of expenses will take a really long time. So I get that he just wants people to start paying off debt and feeling those wins and getting the ball rolling. So I get why he says that. So I get like 6 months of an emergency fund expense is not feasible for everyone, but you have to have at least 1 month expense. You can't just say, oh, $1,000, that's good for everyone. That's not good for everyone. That doesn't make any sense. If you live in New York City, $1,000 is nothing. You can't just have $1,000. So 1 month expenses, whatever that is for you. And that's not just like regular spending, including like new scrunchies and stuff. It's like 1 month expenses for food, rent, bills. You can cut out Netflix, you can cut out your gym membership, like what's your bare bones expenses? But ideally, an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses would make me feel really supported and make me feel like comfortable, like in doing other things with my money, because I know I won't be homeless after 4 months if I have 3 months waiting for me. So one way to stop stressing out money is have that money, have an emergency fund. And I want to say another quick note about emergency funds. So if you're past the beginner stage, and if you paid off your debt or you're paying off your debt, and you have some investments and you have a little in savings and you're kind of just confused on what to do with it all, and you hear all this stuff about an emergency fund, like those things are your emergency fund. If you're not paying off debt and you have money in savings, investments, your checking account, cash in your drawer, those are all your emergency funds. Like if you have an emergency, you'll just cash out one of your investments. Not saying you should do that, but clearly it's an emergency, right? Like, you're not just saying, oh, I need a new jacket. You're saying, this is an emergency. I'm going to be homeless if I don't make my rent. I have to cash out one of my stocks. Like, everything is your emergency fund. So if you're past that point, don't feel like you need a designated emergency fund. Everything's your emergency fund. Your savings is your emergency fund. Okay, so moving on. So step number 1, have an emergency fund to fully support you. Step number 2, really, really trust the universe. I want to tell you right now, you are worthy. You are worthy of money. You are worthy of abundance. You are worthy of being able to afford things that you want. You are worthy of having more money than you can even ever dream of, because I believe that if you're watching this, you genuinely want to be a good human. You want to make the world a better place. If I had a poll right now, if I knew how to put up polls right now, and you could vote, do I want the world to be a bad place or a good place, you would click good. And because of that, you are deserving of money. Think about it this way. Would you rather you are the steward of hundreds of thousands of dollars, or someone like Osama bin Laden? Would you rather him have hundreds of thousands of dollars, or would you rather have you have hundreds of thousands of dollars? Would you rather have someone who's going to buy like weapons of mass destruction, or would you rather have you who would use the money to support yourself so that you can begin to support your community and donate and take jobs that let you up and serve the community by teaching and build up so much money so that you can quit your corporate job and focus on your gifts that you were meant to do? Would you rather you be the steward of money because you trust yourself and you know that you're good and you know that all the things that you spend money on will be for the better future of humanity? Or would you rather just go, well, I'm not worthy of the money, I'll just leave it up to other people to believe they're worthy? Say what you want about Donald Trump. My account is not about politics, but I will say he's not my favorite president we've ever had. But I will also say he has no filter on his self-worth. He fully believes he is worthy of being president. He believes he is worthy of tweeting lies. He believes he is more worthy than the truth. He is worthy he believes in his own self-worth. His ego is so high that he's ignorant to everything else around him. So I'm not saying get to that level, but one thing that you can learn from him is he believes in himself a lot. And he believed he could be president, and so he did. And when people talk bad about him, even though he should probably listen to them, he just stands up for himself, and he just does what he thinks is right. So while I disagree with many, many, many things he does, think about like where he would be if he doubted himself. He would not be president, which maybe would be better. But he's only there because we aren't believing in ourselves that we're worthy enough. So why can't I believe that I'm worthy of being president? Why can't you believe you're worthy of being president? Why can't genuinely good humans out there believe that they're worthy of being president? He had no skills and he became the president. So if you have no skills, why can't you just get your dream job? Why can't you may not have skills, but why can't you just be a wedding planner? Anyone can be a wedding planner. Why can't you fill your dream of being a painter? You don't need all these credentials that you think you need. You just need to believe in yourself. You just need to have full, unshakable belief in your own self-worth. That's it. That's the only thing that you need. And if you fully believe in yourself, other people will too. The entire country will if you want them to. I believe that we are each capable of anything if we decide it. The second we decide that we are worthy, we can have it. And when we believe that with money, fully believe that with money, we can have all the money available to us. We will never have to stress with money again. The reason why many of us stress about money is because we believe that's the way things should be. So if we were children and we saw our parents fight about money, if we grew up without much money and we believe that should be a stressor, if we believe that we aren't deserving and we aren't worthy of abundance and living the life of our dreams, if we believe rich people are evil, we will never attract the money that we are worthy of. And you are worthy. I'm telling you right now, you are worthy. You deserve abundance. You deserve all the greatness in the world. You deserve being rich. I mean, there's no reason not to. There's nothing bad about rich people besides that they have more money than you and the stories that you put on them if you have one. So that brings me to the third point. So first point is have an emergency fund. That's real practical advice. 2, you are worthy. Believe in your own worthiness, seriously. The only difference between someone who follows their dreams and someone who doesn't is that dream follower believes they're worthy of accomplishing their dreams. So step number 3 is get rid of your limiting beliefs. You need to drop your limiting beliefs. If you have any limiting beliefs, you will not ever be rich. If you have stories, oh, rich people are greedy, then you're never going to be rich because subconsciously you're going to fear being a rich person and being greedy. And then you're never, ever going to be rich because your subconscious believes that you cannot be rich or you'll be greedy, and greedy people are bad and greedy people are less worthy, and then you can't do that. So make sure your subconscious values don't have any limiting beliefs in them. Really do this for an exercise. I make all my clients, like, especially in my course On My Way to 100K, they really dive into this. And I make them study, like, what are your limiting beliefs? What comes up when you think about money? Is it joy, happiness, I love money? Or is it, I don't believe I can have it. Like, I've always struggled with money my whole life. I can never stick to a budget. What are the stories that you're telling yourself when it comes up about money? And if you need help thinking about it, I recommend like taking 2 minutes, literally set a 2-minute timer on your phone and just write, like, free flow everything that comes up about money and see what it is. It can be good. Maybe it's all good. Maybe it's all bad. You don't know. And think about another thing that you can help yourself do is think about someone with a lot of money. Like, think of a prompt, set a 2-minute timer, and then think about, if I said, think of a rich person in your head, write down everything about that rich person. What comes to your head? Snobby, lazy, blah, 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 like, doesn't care about the world, like, only uses their money for their own selfish gains, rich people just buy fancy cars. Is that what comes up when you think about rich people? Or does it come up or for rich people, does it come up like you think of like, oh, someone can use all their money for good? If I had thousands, rich people start foundations. Rich people can not work at a corporate job so that they can volunteer and use their time for the good. Rich people have so much money that they can donate money to charity, and they can spend all day volunteering, and they can go to other countries and work with underprivileged children. Is that what you believe to be true about rich people? Or is it that they're greedy and just buy nice cars? Which one is it? Because whatever you believe to be true about rich people, and then whether you want to be that person, is what's stopping. If you don't want to be that person, that's stopping you from becoming a rich person. So you need to get rid of your limiting beliefs. Cleanse those limiting beliefs out. Seriously, any negative feeling you have about money, even any doubt, any slivers of doubt, that's going to stop you from being rich. So fourth point to keep in mind, how to not stress about money. So every person has an energetic minimum and maximum of how much money that they have. So every person in their mind has an energetic minimum and maximum of how much money they're allowed to have. We all believe we're worthy of like this amount of money. It's completely arbitrary. No one knows, or like, I don't know where the numbers come from, but whether it's our childhood or whatever, but we all have an energetic minimum and maximum. So like for me, for example, when I was paying off my student loans, or before I was paying off my student loans, but when I had them, I saved money, and I felt like I always saved around the same amount of money. Like I always spent around, I always saved around the same amount, but my account would never get above $10,000. And for some of you listening, you're like, ooh, like that's broke. And for some of you listening, you're like, 10,000, oh my God, I can't even get above 500. It all depends on the stories we tell ourselves. And my story maxed out around 10,000. It seemed like every time I would get close to 10,000, I would all of a sudden need to redecorate my kitchen, or my car would break down, or, oh my God, what do you know, I went shopping again. Like every time my account would get close to 10,000, somehow I'd find something to spend on, so my account never got above $10,000. But the same goes for an energetic minimum. So my account would never get below around like 4,000, because I believe that under 4,000, that's broke. If I only had $1,000 to my name in that checking account, that's a limit I just would never get to. Like think about a situation, like I would never ever, like I can't see myself like living in a certain type of house or whatever. I don't know, whatever situation you think of yourself, like you're only meant for the energetic boundaries that you set for yourself. So what you have to do is change those boundaries. If your lower boundary is negative $50,000, of course you're always going to stress about money, because your lower boundary is negative $50,000. I'd stress about money too if that was my energetic minimum. So if your balance keeps going past or close to your energetic minimum, you're always going to feel stress. You need to raise that. And the way to do that is think of your affirmations, think about your future self, really fully believe in who you are, fully believe like, oh my God, like, you know, I'm done being broke. I decided I'm going to be rich. I decided that I'm not having less than $5,000 in my account. That's not my reality. I only have between $5,000 and $10,000 in my account, and that's my reality, and that's it. That's who I am. I'm nothing else. I decided. Now, when you hear that, what do you think that person's going to do? Do you think that's a person who fails, or do you think that's a person who succeeds? Does someone who say, no, I'm not having less than $5,000 in my account. I'll do anything to hit that $5,000. I deserve $5,000 and I'm not having less than that. Like, doesn't that sound like someone who will have $5,000? Because they will. Because I believe I will. I believe 5,000 is way too low. That's outside of my energetic range now. My energetic range, I've been working on raising. I used to never be able to get above $10,000 when I was paying off my student loans, and now I'm at $100,000. My energetic maximum raised as I raise it. My income used to be capped at a certain amount. My income, every time I'd start to make money from my side hustle, I would sabotage myself somehow. I would do something because I didn't feel, one of my stories I told myself was that you can only earn money from a traditional job and a traditional income. And so one thing I would do every time I started to make real money from my side hustle is that I would self-sabotage. I would just stop working as hard, or I would stop doing that particular side hustle. I would get excited about something else. I would do something stupid. Like every time I started to make money from my side hustle, I would stop working on it because my subconscious belief was you can only make money from a full-time traditional job. And here I am today. I quit my full-time traditional job. So I have to make money somehow, right? And I hit my first 10K month a couple months back. I hit my first one because like I believe that I could. And I know I really worked hard to get rid of my limiting beliefs. So this was a lot of woo-woo, I know, but it's all mindset. It's seriously all mindset. I mean, what do you think stress is? Do you think stress is simply the result of your interpretation of an event? Two people can interpret an event two different ways, and one can feel stress and one cannot feel stress. For example, like when my fiance and I drive in the car, if like someone cuts us off or if we hit too many red lights in a row, he'll get so mad. He'll sit there and get so angry and be like, oh my God, like everything's a red light, blah, blah, blah. And he'll get so angry where I like didn't even notice the red lights. And even when he tells me, I'm like, it's okay. Like, yay, more time in the car together. Or I always say like, yay, more Taylor Swift songs, because that isn't something that stresses me out. And it's something that did stress him out. The event is neither inherently good or bad. The event itself doesn't matter. It's your interpretation of the event that matters. So your stress when it comes to money is your interpretation of the event. And I know when I say stuff like that, people's first questions are like, but Kelsey, if I literally can't afford the bills, isn't that an inherently stressful event? And it's like, no, it's not. You could choose to see that as a challenge. And you could see that, ooh, yes, like the fire is lit under my butt. I'm going to go out and make some sales. Now I have a reason to actually sell that stuff I've been wanting to sell. Now I have a reason to start my side hustle. And then you look back and realize that one time when you couldn't pay your rent was actually the start of your multi-million-dollar business because it lit the fire under your butt. It's your interpretation of the event that leads to stress. If you feel stress, work on yourself, work on your mind, work on your limiting belief, work on actually setting the foundation for your finances, like having an emergency fund and like knowing what the fuck to do with your money. So knowing what to do with your money is very important. Having an emergency fund is important. Having the mental mindset correct is very important. Having your energetic boundaries is important. You need to embody a rich person. You need to embody the person that you want to be. Let's see. First-time visitor popped on by accident, but glad I did. I've heard these principles many times, but you made some understandable for me. Yay, I'm so glad. I know, it's all about hearing them and internalizing them in different ways and making them right for you. So I'm so glad that you enjoyed and you can understand more, and I really hope you put them into practice if you ever have stress about money, because it's all about our interpretations, it's all about our mindset, it's all about our beliefs, and it's also about educating ourselves and making sure we're doing the right things with our money. So I hope you enjoyed these 4 tips. I will have On My Way to 100K opening up soon for enrollment if you want to learn more about these. Otherwise, stay tuned for more live videos. I will always be popping on with more information, and I can't wait to talk to you guys soon.